Good afternoon, friends. I am Sanjay Agarwal, MD and CEO of the company. Mr. Keshav Bhajanka, Executive Director, Nikita Bansal, Executive Director, Mr. Arun Julasaria, CFO of the company. They have joined me to welcome you for the first quarter results call of Century Ply. I am sure none of us has seen such a washout, and I really wish from the bottom of my heart that God's grace be on us and we never see such a quarter again in this lifetime at least. April was fully closed except our CFS division, which comes under essential services, so it operated. In May, we all know India started opening up a little bit, but then everybody was very hesitant. So even May was practically, or major part of it was a washout, but yes, sales started picking up. June, we did about 60%. And that's how actually April, May, June, the first quarter, we achieved an average of 35%, which actually was little more than what we expected, because we expected about 25% in that quarter. I believe that we Indians are a very learning people, and we adjust with things very fast. And we can see that we Indians have learned to live with Corona, and most of the places have opened. And I believe that the situation in April will never be repeated, at least very soon. On the other side, it has crossed 2 million, and we are approaching 3 million. And we all are actually hopeful on only one thing, that the vaccine is around the corner, or maybe October or November, or by December we will have the vaccine. The channel has no stocks at the moment. The sale is distributed across the month, so that's a new thing which has happened with us. Otherwise, month-end selling was a norm. Payments, we all thought that there will be a lot of bad debts. But we came out with a policy, with advice of our chairman, that 55 days were given as a blank day. Everybody were given a 55-day moratorium on everything. And then we adjusted with little bit with other, whatever was required at the moment. So we see that a lot of payments have really come in, and we now really don't expect the bad debts to be as bad as we had thought earlier actually. You will love to know, and we are very excited about a new innovation which Century Ply has done, has already introduced in the market. You must have seen the advertisements. We have already started the advertisement also. It is the ViroKill technology. We have applied for registration, patent registration also for this. I will request Keshav to speak more once I finish, then he will speak more about the ViroKill technology. This innovation shows our commitment towards business. In spite of all the problems going on, Century could still achieve it. Our sustained effort to automate and reach the consumer and influencer is on. But success, of course, will come in parts, and it will take some time, really some time, before we reach where we want to reach. Salary and many other expenses has been cut, and that has helped us in keeping the losses under control. The numbers will also show that very, very clearly. That is why you will see that we have still, even in all the circumstances, with only 35% sale, Century is still not in cash loss. As spoken earlier, we expect normal numbers in the fourth quarter, but we are quite positive that our achievements will keep improving from month on month. The MDF expansion presently is on a pause due to COVID and some government issues, but we are very excited about the project, and we are very hopeful that soon we will be able to make progress. Our debt, which has really come down, and we expected that in this month, by August 2020, we will be able to become a debt-free company. But now we will have to wait for quite some time, maybe a year. But our long-term debts are reduced to only 45 crores now. So first, I will ask Keshav to speak on Virokill, and after that, I will request Arun Julasria, our CFO, to take you through key financial data and current quarter posts, which we are. After that, we will be open to question and answer session. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Keshav Bhajanka, and as the MD has just said, I'd like to take you through what this technology is. You see, Century Plywood has always been a company since inception that looks to provide the best in quality product. We have had numerous innovations, I think more than 100 innovations since our inception, but I would rank this as the second biggest innovation that we have ever created, after only the Bora-proof, termite-proof technology that we brought into the market in 96-97. What we have done is, we have seen the fear that this virus, this pandemic has created amongst our consumers, and we have tried to address it by providing them with some sense of security in their home. We have developed, rigorously tested, and gotten accreditation and certification for our product, which now is 99.99% virus safe. What this means is that any virus that falls on the surface of our plywood or our laminates, the cell gets ruptured and the virus starts dying instantly. It could take a few minutes or a few hours, but the efficacy is 99.99%. We have been tested rigorously in-house, and we have been tested by the Biotech Testing Services, which is one of the most renowned testing laboratories for these kind of material properties in the country. We have used a nanoparticle-based self-doctoring surface treatment, and although there is no test available for COVID-19 in the country because the government is not certified, we have used a virus, or the testing service has used a virus, which is positive sense single-stranded RNA virus, which is very close to COVID-19. So, although I cannot claim today that we are corona-free, that the product is corona-free, the day that the testing becomes available, I am sure we will certify the same as well. So, this is the step that we have taken, and we are very bullish that this is going to help us further differentiate from the rest of the market and maintain and enhance our position as market leader. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and one. Sorry, so go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, first, I will request Arun Julasria, our CFO, to explain everybody with the data.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to mention customary disclaimer that this con call is just to discuss company historical numbers and future outlook. In no way this should be construed as invitation to invest in the company. Results for the quarter along with detailed analysis are already made to you and also hosted on stock exchange and company websites. So I will not take much of your time and take you through macros only. During the quarter, Hello. During the quarter, the COVID-19 pandemic and consequent nationwide lockdown has subsequently disrupted the economic activities with high uncertainty. In accordance with central government guidelines, the company's all units and offices were completely closed for the whole of the April month and started to open from 4th May onward. Even after 4th May, there were intermittent area-specific full or partial lockdowns at some of the units and offices of the company. As April was completely washed out and May was almost washed out, the activity started to pick up from late May. In such universal situation, our company could not be an exception, and our operations also suffered accordingly. Apart from these companies, plywood unit at Calcutta was also closed for almost 30 days due to damages caused by Amphan cyclone in West Bengal in the month of May. On overall basis, the revenue for the quarter is almost 35% of revenue of corresponding quarter in last year. However, despite such major disruptions, company is EBITDA positive and having cash profit. Year-on-year basis, overall blended EBITDA was 2.7% compared to 16.3% in corresponding last quarter. Company continued to honor all its commitment to all stakeholders. Payment to all vendors were made as per originally agreed payment schedules, and all ordered materials were accepted. In case of our customers, we extended credit period with originally agreed cash discount for a period of around 55 days. Although we could have delayed vendor payments, but we kept our commitments in line with the reputation of Century Ply. This has resulted in slight increase of our debt level and inventory level, but all have come down to normal level by the end of July month. The revenue in all reported segment was down in the range of 60 to 75%, except in case of logistics segments, where it was down only by 10%. Company's container freight service stations were falling under essential services, so were not subject to lockdown closure. Business of company's major domestic and overseas subsidiary is dependent on operations of the company, so their performance is also impacted. Laos units are still closed and their viability will again be explored once operations in India are normalized. Company looking future with optimism. July 2020 revenue was almost 75% of July 2019 revenue. Collection from debtors is normalizing and debt level is again coming down. Loss caused by Amphan at Calcutta factory is fully covered with insurance. Company's conservative policy of low gearing and lowest finance cost is keeping company in very comfortable position. Our rating agency ICRA has maintained our long-term rating of AA- in its recent surveillance exercise. Company is also spending on advertisement of its newly added feature of ViroKill technology in plywood and laminates. This technology kills all viruses on the surfaces of plywood and laminates, and this is well taken by consumers. Company is continuing to invest in balancing equipments and innovations wherever possible. Plant greenfield capacity of MDF and particle board is still kept in abeyance, but will be taken up very soon. With these words, I open this conference call for questions and answers.
Thank you. We'll now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and one on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and one. First question is from the line of Vikant Shah from Phoenix Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thank you for taking my question. I would just like to ask one thing. What would be your take on the industry overcapacity as of this moment? And secondly, what would be the take of the company on Reliance entering in the plywood business?
You see, overcapacity, capacity utilization in our industry is very, very difficult to actually measure. The reason I'm saying this is because 70% of the industry is actually unorganized. Having said that, what we have seen in the market is the supply chain for the unorganized sector is disrupted more than for the organized sector. As they say, the cycle has somewhat stopped and they're facing issues in terms of working capital and other issues as well. So I think that the utilization level for us would be better than for the unorganized sector.
All right. And regarding the Reliance part of the question?
Pardon?
Yeah, what would be your take on that, like on Reliance entering the...
Relwood. So, Reliance has not entered the plywood business. You see, Relwood is a product that has been in the market for 3 years plus. The timing of that particular tweet or of that particular announcement was very, very good. I think we need to have a look at their marketing agency because they've done a phenomenal job. But this product has been in the market for quite some time, and it is similar to the Stark board that we currently have, which is wood polymer composite. And I think it is a far higher price point product. It is definitely useful for certain applications, but the cost is prohibitive.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is from Sonal Kohli from Bowhead. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for this opportunity. I have a couple of questions. Firstly, thanks to the new policies by Government of India where they are discouraging imports and encouraging the domestic industry. If you could give some idea about how much of imports currently in India happen from China as far as the furniture is concerned, and whether, you would contemplate entering into the furniture industry yourself, as a part of, for the integration. Secondly,
So let me answer this question. I think otherwise you will get mixed up. So you can tell the second question later. As far as this Atmanirbhar thing is concerned, it is really, really going to help our MDF because of the duties or licensing happening on the furniture. It's going to help MDF in a big way. And we expect that the growth of MDF industry was stunted because of imports of MDF and imports of too much of furniture from outside. So I think Government of India this time has taken it really seriously, and we can see that a lot of discussions and seminars and even the minister himself, Piyush Goyal or others, are really engaging with all the stakeholders. So this is going to help MDF mostly. The other sides like plywood, there is not much of import of plywood in India, so I don't think it will make a difference. As far as timber import is concerned, as it is already, I think there is 5% duty right now, so it is not going to really make much of a difference. As far as laminate is concerned, again, there is not much of import of laminates into the country. So all those things I don't think will make much of a difference. The most important difference will be for MDF and particle board. You can ask the second question now.
So, sir, what I had already asked was, would you have any plans to enter into the furniture industry in terms of manufacturing furniture yourself?
No. Right now, the very clear answer is no. I can get into a lot of detail and discussion why no and why yes. So I don't think that we can discuss right now, actually.
And sir, my remaining questions were pertaining to, what kind of measures you have taken for cost cutting, what is sustainable, what kind of measures have you taken in last 1-2 years which you think will help you to grow faster than the industry? And lastly, are there any, capacities available in MDF? So by the time you freeze your plans and enter into the MDF category, considering your balance sheet, if you don't take a shorter term view, and the liquidity of the promoters, do you think that are there any assets you could acquire in the MDF industry?
The first one, cost cutting. For the COVID thing, we have already told that we have cut salaries, and which we have promised to our people in writing that the moment we cross 80% in a quarter, we'll reimburse their salaries. That travel costs have actually become zero for the moment. And so all these costs have really helped in maintaining stability within the company for this moment. Your next part of this question was sustainability of this. I believe that the salary cut cannot stay. It has to be reimbursed ASAP. Every one of them are in actually very, a lot of worried. All the people are. So it has to be reinstated as fast as possible. The traveling part, I believe that it will not come back very soon. And even if it comes back, people have really learned to use Zoom and all. So it will cut down a lot. And travel costs were not small in any company. So I think this is one area where I think every company, including Century Plywood, will benefit out of it. The next part was availability of MDF capacity. I will request you, if something comes across, please let us know. Otherwise, we are bent upon on our path, but I really don't know of any capacity available at this moment.
And so my last question was pertaining to measures to grow above the industry, and I had also initially inquired what part of furniture would be imported from China, if you have any idea about that.
Right now, you see, a lot of furniture is being imported from China. So, and India does not have any branding. India does not have very good finishing. India does not have the designing. So, but the way things are now, government is taking up, you will see a change in next 3 to 5 years. So right now, China exports everything, including part of furniture, full furniture. Even a billionaire goes there and he buys the most expensive furniture. Even a middle class goes there and he can buy in 1 container or 2 container of very cheap or middle type of furniture. Everything is available, but I am sure that India will develop its own capacity very soon. One part I am just forgetting. You asked one more question.
So you have taken, what kind of measures have you taken to grow above the industry growth rate?
Yes.
Are you a very progressive company?
Yes.
And what do you expect by 2022? You'll be back to 2020 numbers.
Okay. That I have already spoken in my speech, that we should be, achieving in the quarter 4. Quarter 4, we will be actually near to, or we will certainly reach the 100% mark of last year. So that we are very confident of. And after that, the next year, 21-22, will be a growth year actually. After all these issues, whenever I have seen, whether it was 2008 or even before that, whenever the situations were really bad, after that the industry, and especially Century Plywood, I have seen has done really, really well. The next thing you said, that what are we doing? Let Nikita answer on what are we doing to stay ahead of our competition.
So I would like to divide it into 3-4 steps we've taken over the last 1-2 years. One is that we have implemented theory of constraints in our supply chain. This has improved our availability by 30% and reduced our inventory also by 30%. So that is something that we are staying ahead of the curve than the industry. Number 2 is that we have gone into e-commerce. All our products are available on our e-commerce website, and now we are also listed on Amazon and Flipkart in certain cities, and soon we will be there pan-India. And we are the first in our industry to do so. So again, we are, especially given the circumstances of COVID, people are not going to the shops. So this is another medium for them to purchase. Number 3, we have implemented SFA throughout our sales force, and we have implemented this during lockdown. So it is something that will really help us sell better. Other than this, I think that we are a very digitally transformed company, because even though we were from the day one, we were on LifeSize, which is a software which is used for video conferencing. We are now moving into Google. So I feel we believe that digitalization is what is going to keep us ahead, whether it be in our HR, whether it be in our purchase. We are digitalizing each and every department of ours. So I would say these are the few steps that keep us ahead of the industry.
Thank you very much. Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Sonal. I'll request you to come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. A request to all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. If time permits, please come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. Next participant is Neha Talreja from Edelweiss Financial Service. Please go ahead.
Hello. Hi, good afternoon, sir. Sorry. So just wanted to understand from you, we have already reached 75% of the sales in the month of July, which is quite, significantly higher than, what we've done in May and June. Just wanted to understand where is the strong growth, now coming from? Is it from the OEM segment that, you've started seeing higher amount of growth? And what would be the breakup? I mean, which is the segment which is seeing higher amount of utilization? I believe it would be higher for MDF. So if at all you can give some segment-wise clarity, and which, areas are seeing higher growth, example, tier 2, tier 3, in case you can provide some breakup on that.
So let me break this into two parts. If you look at segments, yes, MDF has performed better. In MDF, we have done more than 100% of last July. And like you rightly pointed out, this is mostly due to the fact that OEM are still going strong. The demand for ready-made furniture has increased. And this is a trend that is going to favor the MDF and particle board division going forward as well. On the other segments, I think most of the other segments have been at 70% plus, including plywood, laminates. What is important to remember here is that most of these segments have shown a growth month after month. So going forward also, I believe that this trend is likely to continue. Since there were a lot of lockdowns in the cities, because in our trade, it isn't very easy to define what exactly constitutes a metro and what constitutes upcountry market. There's a lot of overlap. But from the trend we have seen, upcountry markets are performing better compared to metro markets. Metro markets have been a little subdued. This has been, of course, made more prominent by the amount of lockdowns that we have had in metro markets. But definitely, upcountry markets are performing better.
And how much of our sales would be from metros versus a tier 2, tier 3? Do we have some amount of breakup on that?
So, like I said, it is a very difficult definition because if you look at Calcutta itself can have three geographies. It can be Calcutta, municipal, Calcutta, larger. So we have not done the breakup in that particular manner, but definitely once we have some data, we'll get back to you with that.
Sure, sir. So my second question was relating to our cost cutting. So of course, we've seen sharp amount of cost cutting, as MD also mentioned that, most of it was related to, salary cuts, which would be reversed at a later stage. How much, and let's say, traveling expenses, which will, continue for some more time, savings on that. Which are the cost savings which are, permanent in nature, and, kind of the one that, we have really worked on, which will even help us margin expansion or, will help us in margins beyond FY21. Can you quantify some of these aspects?
You see, there are a number of areas where we have retrospectively worked on and we have tried to reduce costs. So if you look at it during the first 2 months, that was the entire exercise. One step that we have taken is that we have implemented an SFA throughout the country. What that should lead to is an increase in sales productivity and a lower cost per quantity of sales that is generated. In addition to this, on a lot of areas such as warehousing, such as logistics, we have taken numerous steps. I cannot quantify it exactly right now, but these will give us long-term benefits. It is a continuous process, but yes, it has been focused on, and it is something that we should see results of sooner rather than later.
Sure, sir. So one just last question, if I may just squeeze in, would be with your laminate segment. How much of the current quarter's, volumes would be related to exports, and what is the growth in domestic versus exports market in your laminate division?
So the export market has done considerably better than the domestic market. I think this is primarily due to the fact that we export substantially to the South Asian countries, and the South Asian countries in particular have been a little, I would say, more resistant towards corona, or have tried a little better against corona. Having said that, I think out of our total volume in the quarter, close to 40% would have come from exports. Whereas in the normal course, it would have been substantially lower. It would have been to the tune of 20-25%.
Got this, sir. Thanks a lot, sir, and all the best.
Thank you very much. Next question is from Siddharth Rajpurohit from JHP Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity.
Sir, sorry, you're not audible. May I request you to speak a little louder?
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, on the ad side, sir, where we have substantially increased our ad expenditure, sir. So one I understand is the message for Virokill, but do you see any other pockets or in terms of demand that is picking up, we can capture more market? What is the whole strategy behind more ad expenditure, sir, when we see that demand is not yet to the mark?
You see, branding is never a short-term exercise. Today, the reason why we enjoy a premium, the reason why we are perhaps the largest and most renowned brand in the country, is because we have invested systematically over a duration. In this quarter, the main reason for a higher spend, I'm talking about the current quarter, not the last quarter, on branding will be because this Virokill property is a very unique property that we are the first to develop, not just in India, but perhaps in the world. And it was very necessary to put this out to consumers that such a product does exist. So it might not lead to an instant increase in sales, but over the long term or even over the medium to short term, it should definitely result in a growth in sales volume faster than what you would have seen otherwise. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. So, but okay, in the near term, do we see any opportunities for capturing more market share?
This entire exercise is designed towards the same. But again, like I said, the scenario right now is very volatile. So I would refrain from commenting on that. But yes, that is definitely the objective in mind.
Okay. And sir, can you guide more in terms of demand? How do you see demand, how it's improving across our three key segments, is ply, lam and MDF?
So I think MDF will continue to perform well going forward as well. Like I said, last month was above 100%, and I believe that MDF should see a sustained high volume and a high value performance for the entire year, the remainder of the year. For laminates, we are looking at close to 70% at the moment. And I think going forward, this should increase next quarter and the quarter after that. I think like MD has already said, by Q4 we'll be back on track. But this quarter we'll be looking at 70-75% and next quarter at 80% plus. For plywood, I think the scenario is similar, where we'll be looking at 70-75% for this quarter, 80% plus for next quarter, and 100% in Q4.
Okay, sir. And on the unorganized sector, sir, do you see, although it could be a short term also, but what is your hunch, sir, that how is the unorganized sector placed now? Is there a lot of squeeze there? A lot of people will go out of business?
You see, this is a question that has been asked repeatedly to every company in the plywood space over the course of the past decade, I believe. So the resilience of the Indian small manufacturers cannot be neglected. There is a lot of pressure right now. As you know, the working capital cycle, considering the fact that plywood is very heavy on working capital, that has been stretched. There is a stop. The rotation is not happening. So I think unorganized is under a lot of pressure, but we'll have to wait and see.
Thank you very much. Next question is from Shrenik from JM Financial Service. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity. So, I believe 40% was exports and laminates. Is that the reason for drop in realizations of laminates?
Yes.
Okay. And sir, could you please explain the reason for improvement in realizations of MDF on quarter-on-quarter basis?
I don't think height realization improvement. According to me, there cannot be any substantial change in the realization. We are just checking the data right now. There cannot be any substantial change. The little bit of realization changes because right now we are selling little bit of more of prelam. So the prelam particle board and prelam MDF has picked up faster than the plain one. So that may make a small difference, but that small difference cannot be very noticeable.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Next question is from Achal Lohade from JM Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. My first question is, with respect to, you mentioned that July is kind of 70% of last year, but is there a seasonality in terms of the month? Could June, July, given these the monsoon months, could they be usually softer as such?
Normally Q2 and Q4 for us are the best quarters of the year. So there is actually no softness in the monsoon season for us. This primarily stems from the fact that, there is Diwali in either late October, early November, and most people want to move into their households before Diwali. Otherwise, they lose a 6-month period because of Shalom and Puja and all of that. So for us, Q2 is normally a very strong, very good quarter.
Understood. With respect to MDF, you mentioned that you're already at 100%. Now, what I'm curious to understand is, there is obviously the COVID situation, which could have an impact on the approvals part. But wouldn't it be a good alternative to look at the brownfield expansion for the time being in order to capture the incremental growth? As you mentioned that there could be a lot of demand which could come on account of Atmanirbhar plan.
So you are saying regarding acquisition of MDF capacities?
No, brownfield expansion, sir, at our existing plant.
Oh, okay. So you see, in MDF to really expand our plant or put up a new plant is, of course, there is some difference, but our existing site of Hoshiarpur, we believe that area is, for the moment, for some time, we do not feel that we should expand there. Our expansion should happen in an area where we have better raw material prices and where the accession, access to the markets are better. So I still believe that this expansion, as far as MDF is concerned, we do not want to expand in our existing plant for the moment. But yes, things can change, and if we have problem from the government for the new plant, then yes, we may go in for a brownfield expansion in our existing place. And as far as laminate is concerned, we have, I think about 1.5 years back, we have only expanded the capacity by 50%. And in plywood, it is a continuous development happening. We are replacing our old machineries from 10 daylight hot presses to 20 or 30 daylight hot presses is going on. Quality improvement machines now, we have practically installed all the quality improvement machines, automated machines across the country. So all that is regularly going on. So in plywood, we are still not satisfied because we are still unable to use 100% of our capacity. So we don't need to increase our capacity right now.
Right. Just a clarification on the MDF, is there a plan B if the approvals from the government keeps on getting delayed for the UP proposed site?
You see, we always had the option of the brownfield expansion. And I think I mentioned this in the past as well. In Hoshiarpur, the same shed can actually accommodate a second line. It was designed in that manner. The reason why we are focusing so extensively on Uttar Pradesh is because the EBITDA in Uttar Pradesh is going to be higher than the EBITDA that we'll get from a brownfield expansion in Hoshiarpur. The reason being the cost of timber in Uttar Pradesh is going to be lower. Having said that, the option of that brownfield expansion is always there. It is just that this is a long-term project, and if there is a EBITDA gain that we can get by setting it up in Sitapur, and there is not a very long delay, then Sitapur makes more sense.
Right. And if you could, come.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you. I'll request you to come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. Thank you. I request to all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. If time permits, please come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. Next question is from Prashant from Sundaram Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the opportunity. So just extending on this, on the expansion you just spoke about, is there a timeline you're keeping, sir, in terms of till when you're waiting for the approval before you probably look at any other opportunity? Let's say like expanding Hoshiarpur or probably maybe any other acquisition. Is there a timeline you're keeping for this new plan?
You see, by now, we would have actually already reached a threshold level where we would have been forced to decide within a month or so. But because of the pandemic, certain changes have taken place. And I think December would be the cutoff point by when we decide between the brownfield expansion or the expansion in Sitapur. We are still very hopeful that they proceed, but I would like to stress that both plans have been laid out in detail. The machinery has been shortlisted for both expansions. We are at a stage where when we decide, the entire project can be fast-tracked substantially.
And this is largely not because you are right now constrained, but because probably the government approvals have not yet come in, right?
You see, the NGT, National Green Tribunal, has struck down all the licenses that were issued by the Uttar Pradesh government.
Right.
So every single license that was issued has been cancelled, and that is now being heard in the Supreme Court. There is a judgment that is likely to come on the 17th, but I think that yes, this matter is going to be held up till there is a final verdict from the Supreme Court. So till then, our hands are tied.
Okay. So at this point of time, so when you're talking about that MDF is probably operating at 100% and probably month on month you're seeing improvement, to what extent can our existing capacity utilization go up? Because I think when you're talking about 100%, to me almost, let's say, close to 90% utilization. So to what extent can that utilization go up to?
The plant's rated capacity is 180,000 cubic meters plus.
Right.
I am sure that we can produce 200,000 cubic meters from this existing capacity. Last year, our total sale was 1.5 lakh cubic meters. So I think we can definitely try to extract close to 2 lakh cubic meters out of the same facility.
Which means they should be able to at least go for at least another 2 quarters without looking at how the trends are.
Yes, I think even the next 3 quarters, the existing capacity should suffice.
Okay. Second question is on the laminate part of the business, sir. In terms of laminate part, you said that export realizations are lower. Typically, how different is margins also over here, and incrementally, what are our thoughts on probably expanding export business? Is it going to be a continuous affair for us, or is it just going to be just like a one-off affair of focusing on the export business?
You see, we have always grown our exports, but again, for Century, the chairman has a dictate: turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is reality. That is how we operate. So we look at businesses where the returns are good. The export business, the returns are better than the domestic business. I would say the EBITDA in exports would be closer to say 18-20%, and it is lower in the case of the domestic business. Going forward, yes, year on year we are growing our export business. This has actually provided us with a good opportunity to leverage on our strengths and perhaps increase our growth in exports slightly. And I think this is going to be a long-term benefit that we get out of it.
Thank you very much. Next question is from Madhav from Fidelity Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Good evening. Hi, thanks so much for your time. So my question was on the MDF sector. What I'm just trying to understand is that if this sector indeed is going to grow at good pace in India, and there are tailwinds that seem to be getting lined up. How does the industry evolve from here in terms of the industry structure? Right now, competition is probably between 3 players, which are of any good size. Do you think there can be players outside of plywood who can come and try to set up capacity here, seeing the growth opportunity? How does that work? Because in terms of margins, can they sustain at these levels? That's what I'm trying to understand.
See, most of the organized sector is between probably 3 of us, Green, Century and Exxon. But there are a few other smaller manufacturers coming up who are trying to get second-hand machinery and maybe reduce the total project cost by 20-30%. So they, I think, hold about 25% of the total market, and the rest of the market is in the hands of the organized sector. And I think that's true for most of the good industries in India. So going ahead, how to answer actually?
Actually,
repeat the question so it will help you.
Sure. So my question would be this: basically, if MDF as a category, because of imported furniture etc. coming down, and furniture industry in India grows, MDF grows in line. Century obviously is one of the few people to start off earlier.
You were talking about if other people can come into this industry.
Yeah, basically.
It will stay with only the plywood people.
Exactly.
Yes, can there is always a chance that people from outside will come, but I think that presently there is an overcapacity as far as the industry is concerned, which we all know. after the Greens large expansion, there is like South India, they are unable to really achieve their 100% capacity. Then even in the northern India, you can see that there is a capacity lying idle with few other manufacturers. So anybody else coming in is actually a very difficult thing to do. And in the meantime, again, our one plant will come. Then within that some time, then somebody else within the system will again, try to come up with some more capacity. So I don't think that people within the industry will give a chance to outsiders to come into this industry. I don't think at all. But yes, the industry is always open and anybody is welcome from outside. There is nothing wrong about it.
So because if I understand right, so would it be fair to think that MDF is something similar to lines of cement where, you add capacity, you can't travel very long distance to sell the MDF because transport cost becomes a barrier. Can it evolve in that fashion? Is that the right way to think? Because putting up the technology for the production is not anything which is protected, right? So
it all depends on what kind of area for raw material costing is there. So today North India has a very good pricing for the raw material. So we are extending it out from North India to South India, Western India and Eastern India. But yes, with time what will happen that capacities in each and every zone will come up. The cost of transportation in case of plywood is a little lesser, maybe about say 3 to 4%. But in case of MDF, it goes much higher. But still, it is not so high in range of 10 or 20 or 30% that it cannot be transported. But yes, slowly it will become a zonal industry, mostly. So if you are in North, we would like to sell at least 80% of our production in North. So presently, I think we sell about 70% around of our production into North only. So it will become a zonal industry with time. And the basic difference between cement and MDF is, in cement, everybody practically owns the raw material source. But in MDF, none of the people actually own the raw material source. We are planning in some ways a little bit here and there, but not much. We cannot say that it is substantial or it will make a difference. So you cannot, equal both the industries actually. Will Keshav want to say something? Yes.
Sorry, just to add on one point. You see, when you are talking about plywood, in plywood, the capex cost is very low. In MDF, there is a module whereas you can invest, buy second-hand machinery and then start a unit, but there are distinct disadvantages. The first and the foremost disadvantage is you cannot get all the products. So today in MDF, manufacturing lower than a 6 mm capacity is not possible in a lower capex plant. You need a continuous press for this, which is an expensive proposition. And secondly, the wastage in a multi-glide press, which again is a cheaper proposition, is far higher. So I don't think that MDF will see too many small players coming in, because for them to sustain and operate is going to be very difficult as compared to the larger players.
Thank you very much. A request to all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. If time permits, please come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. Next question is from Sonal Kohli from Boher Investment Advisors. Please go ahead.
Sir, as far as your, MDF plans are concerned, if you were to do a brownfield, let's say on 31st December is your cutoff and you decide to go ahead, how much time will it take for you to start the production? And if you do a greenfield, how much time will it take to, for you to put up the capacity? Secondly, you mentioned that there are a lot of, new entrants in the industry with small capacities. If, the demand explodes and you don't want to lose market share, can't you outsource production and have your branding in place, or take over the plant on a lease, or, do a short-term 1-2 year arrangement where you don't lose your market share or demand in case, you are unable to meet demand,
You see, answering the second part first, in the case of MDF, like I've already said, there are distinct disadvantages with smaller capacity. So there are 3 large players who have multi-glide presses, who have continuous presses. The continuous press provides a better quality and it provides the entire range. So there are only 3 players, and I think any of the other players, they will struggle to provide the materials that we are providing. The quality will become an issue, and I don't think that is a very workable model, either today or in the future. Secondly, if you look at a brownfield expansion, the time that we had initially taken for it would have been 12 months. However, there's one difference now with this entire India-China scenario. We just need to see how the entire technical team from China will be coming to India. What are the arrangements? I think if there is no change from the earlier scenario, we can operate or we can take trial production from the brownfield capacity 12 months from the day which we decide.
And as far as the greenfield is concerned, how much time will it take for you to do the greenfields?
The greenfield, we would say it would take at least 18 months. I think within 18 months, we will be able to take out the trial production. We would have said 15 months earlier, but as you know, now things are a little different. They are a little slower to process. So the greenfield, I think 18 months we will definitely be with the first trial production at least.
So, sir, you have done a lot of initiatives and congratulations for that. We've seen that, every market leader who continues to grow in downward period takes slew of new measures which enable it to gain share in the future. Is there any wish list of what you still need to do to accelerate your growth over the industry that we haven't done so far, or you would like to do over the next 1-2 years?
There is a very huge wish list. You'll have to spend a day with me to hear all of it. But yes, there are a lot of things that we are working on in the short term. And most of these steps, you see, we, I believe, are the most efficient in our industry, but we have a lot to learn from other companies in other industries and from companies that are performing well within our industry, maybe abroad. There are a few things that we are trying to implement now, such as the SFA, which Nikita had mentioned earlier. The Salesforce automation tool that we are trying to bring in, it should bring in a lot of synergy. The supply chain, we are continuously improving, and I think we are seeing the results of that also. It is a continuous process, but yes, we are trying many firsts in the industry, and I'm sure you will see the results in the near future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next question is from Anand Bhavnani from Unifi Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. So you mentioned about the raw material for MDF being cheaper in UP as compared to our current facility. So I remember distinctly when we used to interact for this about a couple of years back, we had cheap and plantation availability in Hoshiarpur. Price of timber has fallen to historic lows and due to afforestation.
Your voice got lost. Your voice was lost for 10 seconds. Yeah.
Hello?
Can you repeat after we had a discussion?
Yeah, so when this plant was being built, we had a discussion that the overall captive supply of timber would be one of the advantages for the Hoshiarpur plant, because there's some social afforestation scheme that Punjab government had taken, and the overall availability of timber has improved in that geography. So, and I think timber has fallen to historic lows in 2018 in Punjab, like around 2 rupees or something like that. So, when you say it will be cheaper in Uttar Pradesh, has anything changed in Punjab for timber prices to rise? Or is it that the Uttar Pradesh prices are still lower than Punjab?
You see, when we were comparing earlier, we used to compare with Haryana and Uttarakhand, which also sold the majority of their timber from Uttar Pradesh. Earlier, the possibility of producing in Uttar Pradesh wasn't there because there were no licenses. The government has initiated the licensing process in India 2018. And when we are comparing to Uttar Pradesh is cheaper. So,
what will be the difference, sir, roughly?
It will be close to between 750 rupees to 1,000 rupees a kg.
Okay, 700 to 1,000 rupees.
Sorry,
a ton. Yeah. So, it's like 2 rupees per kg in Punjab. In Uttar Pradesh, it will be 1 rupee a kg, something like that.
If it is 3 rupees in Punjab, it will be 2.25, 2.3, 2.1, something like that in UP.
Okay. And we are expecting this to get resolved in next 6 months, the UP cancellation of licenses.
I was expecting this to get resolved last October, but unfortunately, you see, it went to the NGT, they passed an order, the state of Uttar Pradesh filed in the Supreme Court, now it is being heard in the Supreme. It should have been done much earlier, but let's see, because it is now a sub judice matter in the Supreme Court, so there's no point in me commenting on it.
So if I were to see next couple of years until FY23, only MDF is the capex that we might do. There's no other capex that we would do, whether in ply or laminate. Is that understanding correct?
See, we are already doing a capex in laminates, but it is negligible capex. We are setting up a 7x3 line in Calcutta at a capex of at least 7 to 8 crores, which is not going to be much. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay, so 78 crores plus MDF capex, that's the only capex for...
No, 7 to 8 crores, not 78. 7 to 8. 7 crores or 8 crores, not 78.
Okay. Oh, fine. Thank you, sir. I'll come back and see.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next question is from Karan Batelia from Asian Market Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, how are things shaping on the face veneer side? How are things in Laos and Myanmar? If I see our quarterly run rate in revenues have come up significantly from like 50 crores a quarter to what 2 to 5 crores now. So how do we see that?
So, you see, earlier, face veneer used to be a segment which was profitable for us. Not directly profitable, but we would get our raw material at a cheaper cost, and by selling the remainder of the market, there was still some realization, there was still some meaningful gain to the company. Now, the entire market situation has evolved. Myanmar, the cost of timber went up exponentially, and because of that, the viability for Kaizen timber reduced. Everybody went to Gabon, and now if you look at Gabon, I think 95% of units there would be making losses because there was an oversupply. Right now, the market is depressed, and you are seeing very low values because of the COVID scenario. But even otherwise, I believe that the veneer segment for us is not going to go back to the levels that you have seen maybe 3 years before or 4 years before, like 150, 180 turnover. I don't think that is going to repeat. Now our focus on this business, at least with the visibility we have today, is going to be for raw material security. And in order to attain raw material security, whatever B grade and C grade material we get, we will be selling right into the market. So I don't see any substantial increase in this business. I think it will stay around the same. In a normal year, I think it will stay around the same 50 crores pickup.
So are we seeing like smooth supplies from both Myanmar and Laos currently?
Laos is
for our captive consumption.
There is no supply from Laos. But yes, supplies from Myanmar are smooth.
Okay. And sir, also we were looking at Gabon for more of a sustainable kind of face veneer. So we had also trimmed down on the capex plan. So how are things currently shaping up?
It was not actually due to a more sustained face veneer. The reason we are looking at Gabon was because the species Occune that is manufactured in Gabon is cheaper cost, and as such, in the lower qualities of our plywood, such as Scenic, etc., it would help us be more cost competitive. So we have the land, and the project is being delayed by us only because right now, by commissioning the project also, there is nothing that is going to be gained. Like I told you already, 95% of the units are at a loss. So we are going slow on that project, but yes, when things recover, I think we can set up that project within 1 quarter. Because the land is already there, I think the shed is ready, and I think just about establishing the machinery and starting production.
Okay. And sir, last bit of question. So the MDF and particle board would be a rolling capex, right? So we won't really put the entire money in FY 21-22, right?
Yes, it is going to be a rolling capex, and by the looks of it, it will largely be funded in-house.
Okay. Thank you for answering. That's it from my end.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I will now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments. So would you like to give any closing comments?
You're mute.
Yeah. Okay. So friends, thank you so much for joining us on this call and taking out your time to listen to us and being interested in our company. or your company, I must say. And hopefully we will see you next time in Q2 FY21 earnings call with a better performance, with better hope, and with a vaccine in front of us. Thank you.